All right,
Hello.
it's time, everybody. It is time for the finals. And I'm Dr. Leo. This is Oliver. If you've been sticking around with us this entire day, can we get a shout out in the chat? Did we get some? Just let's get the hype train started for our grand finals. This is where it all came down to. And
Cham-
I'm excited.
Champagne, the one of our players who's about to go into the final bracket with us right now, unaware that you almost went to time. Yes, you did. Oh, we're joking. Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, that was Champagne. While you're still here, I do have to say that was amazing. That match right there was definitely one for the books. We will be going back and watching that 100%. But here's the deal: Champagne now really has to do the upset. Champagne has won out on the lower bracket after losing out in the first round, has just won, and now is up against the top bracket winner, Tensai. We are all about the bracket reset here. So Champagne needs to win a best of three, winning 2 games out of 3, and then needs to do it again. And of course, the big problem here is Tensai is going to be on the play 100% for the first of these 2 matches.
Yeah.
Looking at the lists, what's your thought about what we're going to be seeing, Doc?
So I have to give game one to Tensai in both of these cases. It's such a faster deck that's so efficient at what it does. I mean, I said it earlier in the tournament. I honestly think that the Elves is the like outside pound for pound best deck if you remove Plague Engineer from the format. This deck is so fast, it's so efficient, it does what it does consistently that I can't help but give game one to it. I mean, outside of a fast Merit Lage kill, Champagne's gonna have a really hard time here in this game one. You know, 1-for-1 removal does match up okay with Elves until Wirewood Symbiote gets out. Then it's just completely useless. So it's one of those things that it's so hard to say anything but game one. Game two, completely different ballpark though.
Yeah. So we are expecting elves to be going off on turn 3 at the very latest, right? This is
Mhm.
the Nettle Sentinel version of the elves. This is not the Newton
New
Reclaimer version of elves, which is a lot more value based and a little bit slower. This is the deck that's all about comboing off turn 3 or turn 4. And the big issue, or even turn 2, right? The big issue though on Champagne's side is you need so many resources to go in and get the turn 2 Merit Lodge. This is not like traditional green black. This is not like Rainbow Depths, right? Where all that you need is Vampire Hexmage, Urborg, and Dark Depths to be able to go and do the turn 2. You need a lot more resources, right? You need to have the Mox Diamond pitching a land. You need to because in order to accelerate. Wait, do you need 2?
You need one
Yeah,
Mock Diamond, one Thespian Sage, one Dark Depths,
and you're still a
and
mana
one
short. So
other land. And
you
yeah,
need yeah. So if you're going to turn 2, you need 2 Mox Diamonds, 2 lands to pitch, Dark Depths, and Thespian Stage. I don't think that that's the game plan that we're going to see happen. I think
yep.
what we're going to see is Champagne have to take a little bit more of a control role initially. So a well placed Swords to Plowshares, an Abrupt Decay potentially, kind of going out and getting these lands. Or I'm sorry, getting out the land tutors before being able to actually pressure. The thing is, when you make a 2020, it's going to get there. You are going to kill. But the one thing I want to talk about is really these ley line of vitalities that are in the sideboard for Tensai.
Yes, I was
Big
just about to
props.
bring that up.
This is stealing some Pauper Elves technology, the bringing in the Spider Silk armor in almost every single matchup because of how prevalent Electrickery and Shrivel effects are. But you know what's really good against Plague Engineer matchups? These Leyline of Vitalities. And you want to know what's really good when you need to know whether or not your opponent is bringing in Plague Engineers? This open deck list format. I am so hyped that we might actually see these Leylines come into play. But honestly, it's one of the scariest cards for me when we're looking at these post board games from Champagne's side, I have to say.
Yeah, so when we're talking about post board games, the Leyline versus the Plague Engineer matchup is going to be huge. I mean, when we look at the effectiveness of Leyline and Vitality, it not only does give your little green guys a boost in the ass, you also get to gain life whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control. So you can do your
Oh.
traditional elves thing, storm off, gain like 10 life, and now the first Merit Lage kill isn't even a kill.
I didn't even
Instant
realize that.
life gain is so good. And in this case, it not only insulates against Plague Engineer, it completely invalidates it's your number one fastest kill, which is going to be with a 2020. I think Leyline of Vitality is the best sideboard card in this matchup, period.
I'm not so sure if it's the best. Pithing Needle is quite amazing as well, that we know. But no, you're so right. I didn't even think about that part of Leyline of Vitality. I honestly stopped reading after the +0/+1 and just assumed that the rest was meaningless text, to say the
No,
least. But
not in this case. Not in this case. This case is actually very valuable effect.
And really, the only cards that I can see coming in on Champagne's side when we start getting to these post board games, it's the Plague Engineer. Unfortunately, there's only two Plague Engineers. We get. I'm actually down. We got a little bit of time to talk about this. Do you want to talk about what it's like to metagame for these events?
Oh my gosh. Please lay it on me. You've been there. You've been in this. I helped you build your sideboard for this. It was insane. So talk to me about metagaming for this.
So it gets to this actually insane level where everyone starts making spreadsheets. Tensai, I know, is one of the masters of this. Where you
Yes.
start to lay out all the information of people and the decks that they're unknown playing, and you get to these really interesting situations. We keep talking about the Torpor Orbs in the last event, where when you know that you're for sure locked up to go against a Lurin, there's two potential Death and Taxes players, a potential Esper Vial player, and two people who are potentially on Thassa's Oracle's decks that you have Days Force of Will to slow down, but then that completely locks out. You get into these situations where it's just like, I'll lose my Veil of Summers. I'll completely morph my sideboard of what's going on right now and just try to have these haymaker sideboard plans. When we start looking at everything, it's this really interesting layout of some players we have being incredibly versatile in the previous season. So I actually pulled up one of my documents that we prepped for this last podcast where we talked about it. Tensai over the past 3 months has played 7 different decks in all of our league finals and all of our weekly events. He's played Cephalid Breakfast, his pet deck, Sneak and Show, which you won the last invitational with, Mono Red Sneak Attack, a bunch of different Delver variants, Black Green Depth Burn, and Infect, right? This is somebody that's incredibly hard to figure out what he's going to be on. But then you have these other players, such as famously Charbel, our Learn Master. We also have Clarastorix and I'm sorry, Quirios, who have just been running and running and running with variations of ninjas over the past period, right? So you start to get to these really inbred metagames where the players going into this, they expected ninjas. We had Quirios, the Esper Ninjas master. We had Clarastorix, the owner of the Ninjas Discord, one of the most prolific Ninjas players. And then we
Yeah.
also had Evil, who recently, over the past about like 3 or 4 events, have been playing Ninjas also. So everybody was kind of hedging towards there being a lot of Ninjas. Everyone was really working on their plan. I know Cliff Boyardee, for instance, good old Cliff Claff, whatever you want to refer to him as, he was focusing hyper intently on this matchup and making sure whatever list he took with, he had a valid Ninjas plan. Um, and honestly, the only reason we're seeing any Plague Engineers in these boards is out of respect for ninjas.
Yeah,
Nobody was
exactly.
expecting elves to come in, and that's why this read that Tensai made was just so well done, right? The
Honestly,
only
the biggest brain play.
Yeah, out of all these decks that people have played, Elves does not show up ever on it. So it is only out of left field. And you need to have a player who's really able to pick up play patterns quickly in order to be able to take this deck from zero plays and then going ahead and having it.
Yeah.
Um,
So let's go ahead and bring it over to the players then. I think that everyone's getting shuffled up and ready.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's bring it over to the table. And yeah, remember, Tensai is on the play for each one of these. We are back in the top bracket here, where seeding does matter. So, Champagne are playing from a disadvantage here, but you know what? If anybody could do it, it's definitely Champagne. We have seen Champagne in this seat before, and I think Champagne. This might be Champagne's match.
We'll have to see. It's hard not to root for the underdog. I got a lot of love and respect for Tensai. Tensai is one of our really good buds on this Discord, but especially with being on the lower seed of the bracket, I would love to see Champagne win this and us be able to go to a bracket reset. Also, can we just say massive props to Tensai? Tensai is our Dubai player, always on the grind into the late hours for him in all
Oh,
of our events and today as well. Champagne, a local US player in the Utah area, if I do believe so. I believe in the Salt Lake area. But both of these
oh,
players have been so prolific and consistently playing in our Discord events, right? Champagne, this is his third invitational he's been to. There has not been an invitational that Champagne has not been present for. And Tensai barely missed the first one. I believe was the ninth place seed going
ninth
into it,
place
didn't
lead.
make it.
Yeah,
And
this one tournament and kept them out of it.
and then goes ahead, wins, takes down the last invitational, and is here again in the top seed for going into the final bracket. Or I'm sorry, in the final bracket, going to the overall finals. Uh, there's no, I don't even need to look at these players' win percentages to know that they are incredibly prolific and really fantastic at Legacy.
Yeah, and also to just hit on this, it's 2:31 a.m. right now for Tensai.
Did you Google
So
that?
I
Did you look
googled
that up quick?
I googled that. I wanted to know, and I'm impressed already. All right, let's see. Let's do this. As I want to see, solid keeps on both players. I want to see a mulligan to Oblivion, and oh, we good? Let's do this.
Both are keeping 7.
And here it begins. Oh, this is gonna be good stuff.
So
Okay,
we're expecting an end of turn Dryad Arbor, I imagine, on Tensai's side to kind of maximize any Gaia's Cradles. Seeing Champagne go Mox Diamond. Is this
so
ditching? What was this ditching?
I'm checking right now. Okay, I think
Is it the Heath that's being pitched?
the Heath was being pitched.
Is this in? Oh, there we
Oh,
go. Pitching the Wasteland. There we go.
yes, there we go. Okay, so we did figure it out. Okay, so Tensai and end of turn going for first of all, beautiful basic choice.
Oh, got
Just
the mountain. Really interesting.
mountain.
I'm
What
sorry,
do you,
not mountain forest. Got the
yeah,
basic. How about that? Let's. That's
yeah.
the correct way to say it.
I was about to say, like, you're having flashbacks of Blood Moon, dude. I
Don't
understand.
get me
It
started.
happens. That Blood Moon was harsh last time when Tensai.
Tensai over here fetching for a plains right now. That's a little interesting in the Elves deck. Mountains and Elves. Thank you, Claire Storix. I know. I'm still fried a little bit after that last match. I'll be totally honest. We might be taking the suit off halfway through this. Let's put it like that.
Oh, dude, if there's a bracket reset, suits coming off. Let's be real here. If bracket reset happens, we're going tops off. Oh,
Perfect. Perfect. That's a good way for us to get demonetized. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah.
Now we're seeing Elvish Visionary come down. This is really not that aggressive of a start from
This
Tensai
is
here.
not a fast start at all, but I think it's because Tensai understands that he has the time here. You can have times to set up and just be like, okay, I'm going to grind a little bit. I'm going to draw a few cards, and then I'm just going to slam it because if there's a dark deck depths coming, you're going to see it coming a turn ahead.
Yeah,
We
at
don't
this
go
point.
that far. I don't even go that far at weddings. I never go that far. My tie stays on, thank you. I spent too much time at grad school wearing one of these sons of bitches. Like, used to it now. Oh,
Oh, you
the ramp, the ramp.
I love this so much. This is how Flag Stones was meant to be played. We're seeing a crop
Oh,
rot getting the Flag Stones. We're seeing other crop rot being paid for off the Mox Diamond to go ahead and ditch the Flag Stones that was just brought out of the deck. So we're plays are so amazing. Who cares? Who cares about card advantage?
if
Like
next
honestly, let's just convert them.
turn is a thespian stage, I'm gonna lose my mind. We didn't think about this. We didn't think about crop rot into crop rot into crop. Oh my god! Oh my god! That's a turn two.
This is exactly turn 2. Ironically enough, we didn't mention this. After I said the way that you had to get a turn 2 as we were talking about this before the match, Champagne, who is in chat, says, there's flagstones. There's other ways to do it. This is one of the ways as well. Who
Oh
would have guessed?
my god! What is this? Rip headphone users. I'm sorry. Can we get some hype in the chat? That
That was
just
amazing.
we just talked about
Tensai needs to convert. So Tensai had a very, very slow start. I'm starting to take this off. Let's get ready. Uh Tensai needs to find a way to get a lethal line at this point. There is no way to gain life main board. You're not going to be able to get above 20. The Gaia's Cradle is a very good start. We're going to be able to see if we can go. Oh, I have a question. What is the music that Julian Knob plays whenever we get a glimpse
oh,
going?
the charge music.
The charge music. Let's just pretend that's going in the back of our heads right now because that's what needs to happen. And speak of
Oh,
the devil, here
hold on,
comes the glimpse.
hold on. We're seeing a glimpse here. Okay. Hey, yeah. Over under 35. Over under 50%. Do you think he can do this?
No, I don't think it's going to
I
happen.
don't think
I'm giving it 2080 that Tensai is able to convert this right now.
especially after seeing Alice. If I saw a heritage druid, I would say, okay, now we're talking. There,
This guy's cradle has to be tapped at the moment.
it has to be. Land drops already been made.
Thank you, Arn. Ride of the Valkyries. There we go.
Ride of the Valkyries. Thank you, Arn. Appreciate you.
Some classic Wagner. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. 32.
32.1% chance. Thank you, Big Lots, for doing the math for us. I'm not going to fact check that at all. I'm going to assume your numbers are
I would
right.
assume 100% correct, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, we're scooping. There's no way that can happen. Champagne with the upset.
God.
Oh my goodness. That is a way to turn 2 at Dark Depths, ladies and gentlemen. I did not see that coming whatsoever. That's a scoop. All right, let's look at
Okay.
this sideboard plan. We talked about this a little bit already. I think it's going to be pretty clear cut, but let's look at Tensai, our top seed for the moment. Tensai's got the good old Hydra Avatar, the good old OG multicolor commander Progenitus, three Leyline of Vitalities, the cards that we've just been gushing about this entire time. Three Leyline of the Void, two Pithing Needle, three Abrupt Decay, three Thought Seizes. What are you liking about this?
All right. So now that I've calmed down from my like flipping table moment there, I obviously three ley lines are going to come in. It's going to hedge against the Plague Engineer, also gain you life. It's a great play. Uh, I understand creature mass here. I would still sub out one Crater Hoof for your clock will be exponentially faster that way. Hey, you don't have to flood the board, as well as the fact that it gives you another out too. As we saw, like in a very fast merit lage, you can go just as fast with two attacks. Other than that, abrupt decays are like my smallest hedge. Like it's one of those things that I don't know, but I'm tied between one abrupt decay or one pithing. What are you thinking?
It's very clear we're bringing in Leyline of Vitalities. The big issue with
Yeah,
Elves is if you're in
Untitled.
this sort of matchup where you're trying to go, yeah, I'm sorry, Leyline of Vitality. We're in a weird situation where there's more than one type of Leyline in the sideboard. Um, but when you're playing elves and you're in this sort of matchup, which is you are not on the value elves plan. Like the
Yeah.
big joke always is that elves isn't a combo deck. It's a mid-range deck with a combo finish. It's just trying to play getting multiple 2-for-1s for a while, and then it eventually goes for the combo win. In this matchup, you are not playing the 2-for-1 plan. Like you are going as fast as you can. And the big problem is the more cards that you side in, the harder and harder it is for you to have a turn 3 glimpse win. So I honestly, I think I'm very similar. I can't imagine more than 4 cards, potentially 5. These Leyline of Vitalities feel like super keeps, both with playing around the Plague Engineer and then also getting you above 20 life. I don't think you bring in Thoughtseize at all, especially you don't care. Honestly, you just want to go as fast as possible. I think if any cards do come in, they are Pithing Needle. I would normally hedge towards Abrupt Decay, but because of this Leyline of Vitality, and you know that you don't have to worry about really any other permanents, I guess in theory, Deafening Silence can get you, but we're not expecting Champagne's not going to bring that in, right? And the only thing it can get you is stopping a double glimpse turn or a glimpse into natural order turn. For me, I really do think we're going to see Leylines and Pithing Needles here. Let's go ahead and jump over to Champagne's board, though. Champagne, I'm not going to lie, doesn't have a lot for this matchup. Champagne's got 2 Chokes, 1 Collector Oof, 3 Deafening Silences, 2 Force of Vigor, 1 Gaddock Teague, 3 Plague Engineer, 3 Surgical Extraction, and a Veil of Summer. I think
So
I know the answer, I think, probably. What do you like, though?
two plague engineers.
Yeah, there you go.
There's not a single other card I really like in here. Like you said, the deafening silence doesn't really matter. It like if you're gonna refill your hand and empty a full board, you're already losing to a nature. I think that what we're gonna see here is we're definitely gonna see the two plague engineers. The one bet that I would hedge would be Gaddock Teague because Gaddock Teague can shut off Green Sun Zenith, and shutting off Green Sun Zenith is important.
Oh, that's very true. I do like bringing in Gaddock Teague as well. It's a little harder when we're not on the play, but of course you are on a Mox Diamond deck. So that is reasonable as well. So, who was that who said that? Deafening Silence, like we talked about, it has some potential. It prevents early combos massively, but they can still get around it. I'm not sure if you do want to be bringing in Deafening Silence. I feel like beforehand, you're bringing in the Plague Engineers, you're bringing in the Gaddock Tea, but you're playing against a creature combo deck. Like it can absolutely get through with like a single glimpse turn. It's a little bit harder without being able to get to second glimpse or without being able to do natural order, like we said.
So
There
here's
is
my thing
Go
about
ahead.
the deafening silence. As soon as Tensai sees a deafening silence, he's like, "Cool, that's fine. I'm gonna, cast my couple of creatures, and then I'm gonna cast my one natural order, find Progenitus, and be like, okay, that's cool. Like,
You
I
do
cast
think
my
Progenitus is coming in? We
I
didn't
think
actually talk
I
about
think
that. Okay.
Progenitus is gonna come in. I think you don't need the second Crater Hoof. I think the first one, if you get to the point that you want to kill a Crater Hoof, you're gonna do that. But you can also just have a fast natural order kill. Let's be real here. Elves generates more mana than any deck in the format that minus going infinite. So because of that, you do have the ability to just be like, all right, turn 2, 4 mana natural orders into Progenitus and kill you. to
Yeah, of
turn.
course. I do agree with you on the deafening silence. The other thing of Gattatig, of course, we've talked about the Green Sun Zenith, but also it's his natural order, right? So these really seem like the live cards that would be bringing in. I like taking potentially Sejeri Step. Caracas isn't amazing. It cannot hit Progenitus, and there's no other targets for it really. At the same time, Sylvan Library is not amazing. I definitely wouldn't mind trimming at least one when I'm on the draw against Elves. Um,
Chaotic
and I don't
Bear.
like Night Bottom either.
So High Tide and like things like Mono Red Storm, the Ruby Storm, I put you at semi-infinite mana because you're essentially at semi-infinite. You're basically just creating infinite mana. We're talking about like a deck that can create a reasonably fuck ton amount of mana. And yes, that's the scientific term. Um, so when we talk about how like this specific matchup, how aggressively is Tensai going to mulligan to the ley line?
I would just take a good hand. Like if my 7 is fast and doesn't have a ley line, I'm gonna go for it. You're on the play. You unless there's a Mox Diamond start, you are going or I'm sorry, as I've learned. Oh, I guess a Flagstone crop rotation start could do it too, maybe.
Excuse me, did you see that?
Yeah, exactly. Um, I guess it couldn't without a Mox Diamond though. You need green source. Whatever, doesn't matter. Um, I think that you just take a fast hand. You just take a good 7 and you go with it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those things that if you do, especially being on the play, fast hand. If you're on the draw, I could definitely see mulliganing at least once for a ley line just to see.
Tensai keeping 7, Champagne having to mull down to 6 here.
Yeah, cool guy. You bring that up. That's why I say like Ruby Storm is like pretty much semi-infinite mana. That's the reason why you guys don't care about things like Trinisphere and sphere resistance and stuff like that because you create metric tons of mana. That's what it is. Elves is going to be like, okay, cool. I'm going to produce 10 mana, and like
Yeah,
that's cool.
the ironic part, of course, being it's not actually infinite, so you do have to keep track of it, which is just even worse. Like
Oh god,
at that point, just make infinite mana, please, so
that's
that
the
your opponent
reason
doesn't
why
need to
I
keep
will
track
never
of
pick
it.
up. That's the reason why I'll never pick up Ruby Storm because you like track it all that, dude. It's so much.
Doc, I can count on. No, I need 2 hands to count how many times I've heard you say that you want to make Ruby Storm at some point. So don't you lie to good people here right now.
Yeah, but I'll never actually build it because it requires ancient tombs, and like I think I'm going to build those. No,
Good cards.
that being
Good
said,
cards.
ancient tombs are not that expensive anymore.
We are
So
seeing Tensai play a Misty and just pass. Let's see if this time it's going to be a fetch for Dryad Arbor. I do have to wonder if there was potential for Tensai to get there with fetching for Dryad Arbor at the first turn in game one, just because Gaia's Cradle would have been able to produce an additional mana. I can respect the fear of doing that, though, of course, but that just feels a lot of times what you have to be doing with Elves. We're seeing Mox Diamond pitch Dark Depths, play Thespian Stage, and let's see what Tensai gets. Is this going to be the Dryad Arbor this time, or are we going to go ahead and get the forest, or as I like to call it, the basic mountain?
So, so when we're talking about this is where hey, because of the fact that Champagne has 3 mana going into turn 2, and if you can't just win here and you just like go for the L's vomit out hand, you're gonna just play straight into a turn 3 Plague Engineer to sweep up your board. Now, with no ley line opening here, you have to play it a little bit careful. Yeah, and one True Logan. That's the reason why is because I have to be able, I can't play janky bad combos with Ancient Tomb. That requires like colors.
And we're seeing
Oh,
glimpse. Okay, let's just value glimpse here.
oh, it can't be a value glimpse going into turn 3 Plague Engineer. So I hope so, especially with the opponent snap keeping on 7.
Is this just glimpse to draw a single card? What? Yeah, it is, right? No, no, because you played land drop already. Query on Rangers and can produce another mana. I feel like this is just glimpse to draw a single card,
I think this is probably a glimpse to cycle. Um, you know, don't hate that. It's not the worst thing.
depending on what's in
Depending
your
on the
hand. You got to do it.
Nettle Sentinel's not the worst. That does not die to Plague Engineer. I mean, how many glimpse of natures do you have in your hand that you're willing to just like, okay, I'm just gonna cycle this?
Let's see it. Can do it again, please. What do we get here? Can we also just say the one really interesting thing is a lot of the times when we see these reclaimer builds, there is a Tabernacle, the Pendrell in the sideboard.
Yes.
I think in an open metagame, that is something that's correct to do with green white depths. But again, as we were talking about with the metagaming for this event, all the expected decks that we had on that sheet of every possible deck that people had been playing beforehand, there was no elves, there was no even kind of, I guess, death and taxes, creature based decks,
Yeah.
right? Tabernacle was kind of a waste of a sideboard slot in the expected metagame, and Tensai really coming in to try to abuse that, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. And cool guy, to answer your question, not anymore, dude. Have you seen Burgie? That card's busted.
it's very good.
It's so good. It's like, okay, I need a card advantage engine. I'm gonna play this side, the horn. Oh, I need a mana advantage. I have a fuck ton of zero drops. I want to play this side. What do you want a better storm card? Please tell me what it is.
Bergie was very, very good.
Oh yeah.
And Cool
Uh,
Guy does play it. It turns out it is correct to play it, as
oh yeah.
Fences and Elderless taking down the challenges.
100% you play it. It's so good. But seeing here this just like, okay, I'll get it for 2 damage. Play a slow game. I don't want to see this with elves because you're gonna lose that slow game. And that's my number one question is just like it's just like what are you gonna do? Are you gonna kill like outside? Like are you just gonna sit up with the progenitus? Because I agree with that. But if you're gonna give depths time, you're gonna lose that game, dude.
Of course, we need to pay mention that Champagne's missing land drop number 3, and that is an incredibly good sign if you're on Tensai's side, right?
Ooh, is
The
this a collector roof?
Oh, that would be good.
Is there a collector roof to bring in, or is there one in
I
the main?
actually there is one in the sideboard. I would be surprised if it was brought. Well, wait, no. No, wait, I'm thinking about the
No,
other. Oh, there's a Collector Oof main board. If
there
that
is
didn't
a
come
collector roof.
out,
Okay,
yeah.
no, Elvish Visionary. Okay,
I really like taking out the Collector Oof in this matchup. It feels like a free sideboard card to be able to be bringing in this Leyline of Vitality. Like, it's just
I
a clear
agree.
come out. However, I do agree it would have been amazing there with Champagne clearly missing land drops. If you can get Collector Oof and basically make it so Champagne needs to hit 2, that would just be heartbreaking. And
And boom goes the dynamite. What was I saying? What was I saying? Hey, Champagne snap kept on 7. Went for the I could have 3 mana on turn 2. Got to have the Plague Engineer in hand.
I mean, Champagne did mold a 6 there. It was Tensai who kept 7. But yeah, I mean, it was rather clear with the way that played out. And the way that we played out that initial turn, and then missed second land drop, which was all that was needed to get to the third, it seemed very clear that there was exactly Plague Engineer coming down next. The Wasteland off
Oh,
the top is good, though, and Natural Order is this Progenitus.
this is it. This is what I was saying. It doesn't matter if you have a Plague Engineer or not. When you could just slam Progenitus, say you have 2 turns to answer this. Can you produce a Merit Lodge in 2 turns?
All right, hear me out. Play another Plague Engineer named Avatar, and then it's a 3-turn clock, right? Oh, wait, no, it's not. He's at 18. Oh, that joke failed. All right, whatever. I tried. Fam.
I see what you were going there, and I appreciate it. Like, so yeah.
And
And
all right, and we're scooping up. Let's go to game 3. That's awesome. Do
Champagne
we
doesn't
see that?
have it.
Do we see the Collector Roof come back in? I don't think we do personally, but it would have been really good that game. I guess it wasn't necessary, but
It's very. It's like what in that exact situation, been just perfect chef kiss. But outside of that one situation, it's. Set is blue. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Thanks for keeping Eternal Magic alive.
I don't think we see anything change really. I think even with Tensai being on the draw, I think that you still go on the as fast as possible plan with the Leyline of Vitalities and potentially Pithing Needles.
I agree.
Again, this is with my own biased interpretation of the matchup and my own play style, right? And that's one of the greatest things about Legacy is that 2 really good players can approach a matchup incredibly
Oh yeah.
differently, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
um,
Definitely.
yeah.
And it's one of those interesting things. Outside of a 2020 swinging in, there is no way for Champagne to deal with a progenitor. Absolutely none.
Yeah, that is very true. It's hard to race that for sure. And Clara Storix, one of our invitational competitors today, again, fantastic job on your run. Uh, this match can be translated as "vroom vroom, fatty go burr." Yeah,
Thick
you're right.
boy.
It is a thick boys matchup for sure.
Oh, this is so good on so many levels. And if you stuck with us this entire tournament, especially, Cliffy, Evil, Claro, like you guys are still up. You guys are still playing. And you guys are hanging out with us. Like, thank you so much. Like, hey, you guys played awesome games today. You're here supporting our finals, the Invitational. And if you've been here watching this entire time, thank you. Thank you for just hanging out with us, shooting the shit, putting up with my bullshit all day. Thank you for having a fun time.
I mean, I keep saying it every single time it comes up, but the invitational really is the heart and soul of our Discord to me, where maybe that's the wrong way to put it, but it is the ultimate manifestation of the things that we do in our Discord, right? We are this Discord that's all about community building, all about giving people the opportunity to play their beautiful paper cards. And look at the players that we've had here. Out of the players that we had in our event, I believe we have 22 weekly top eights out of these 8 players. We have
Mhm.
multiple weekly champions. We have a couple of league top eight, some top 16s, and one league top one winner. These are all of our players who have just been playing again and again and again, really showing up for our community and making our events this great place to be. And this is kind of our moment to celebrate all the work that everyone's put in over these past 3 months, right? All,
Yes.
all of these games that have been played again and again and again. And it's
Yeah.
just so much fun. Again, with all these players, they know each other. There's so much friendly banter going on. We know them all personally as well at this point, right?
Mhm.
Where we get to have these storylines that we know, right? We know where Tensai is in the world and how late he's staying up. We know all of the matches or all the events that Champagne has taken down, and it's hard not to be happy with these events, no matter what way they go, right?
So, oh, to give you all a little backstory, it was the first mod that the creator of the Discord, Rad, brought on, and a long time ago, I brought up the idea. I was like, how awesome would it be if we had like a full invitation or a full like I was like a GP style event, like where we had like 2 days players like and everyone's like you're an idiot, like there's no way it's gonna happen. Here we are. Here's how much we've grown. Here's how much the Discord has become a cornerstone of the legacy community, and it's nothing but pride for me. I'm happy to see how far this has gone, and yeah, it's a good feeling. It's a great fucking feeling, dude. I love commentating these finals. They're a blast.
It's hard not to be smiling the whole time. Thank you so much from our correspondent, Doc Humble Brag to Leo. Let's get back to the match going on below us.
Oh yeah, no,
uh,
gotta take took over the invitation points, everything like that. I was like, dude, what if we just do this? Like, I just threw out the idea. I was like, what? And everyone was like, chaotic made this happen, and like the rest of the mod team has just been phenomenal. Oh, and like really worked through, and oof. There's the swords plow for the Dryad. So this is the first time we've actually seen any removal this game. It's just been fatties go burr this entire time.
so, of course, Champagne being on the play here. I don't know if we mentioned it. Champagne keeping set. I'm sorry, Tensai keeping 7, Champagne going down to 6. We are seeing what seems to be a little bit of a slower start from Champagne. Of course, being able to interact with that turn 1 Dryad Arbor is amazing. Just fantastic. Exactly what you need to do. This is short of there's no way of depthing this turn at the moment, right? But looks like we're gonna have a Knight of the Reliquary come down or a Knight of Autumn. Are we just gaining
Ooh,
life or are we making a 4-3?
I think going 4-3. I think going for
Okay.
beats.
It is really interesting to see. I don't know. I guess you keep it in because strictly because of the potential pithing needles, and you want to have that as a potential green sun target.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, but I mean, you just really just need to put the clock on because if not, Tensei's going to put the clock on you in a hard way. And there was yeah, we haven't seen much mana acceleration for Tensei at all during these games. Like we haven't seen a Heritage Druid once. We haven't seen any sort of Birchlore Rangers or anything like that. Like we just don't see. We haven't been seeing a lot, and
Oh,
I want to see any amount of mana acceleration here.
that's actually huge, though. Tensai fetches by you and just passes back. Does not have any plays to make after that. This is a very concerning point to be. We're seeing Champagne play Wasteland and swing with the Knight, which is met by an Abrupt Decay. Abrupt Decay did come in, which is really interesting for me.
Okay, I don't hate that, but it's one of those things that Champagne. What are you doing for the Wasteland, dude? Unless we're talking about crop rotation it away and turning it
One
into the Dark Depths.
one has to think that we have the Dark Depths coming very, very soon, and that we need and it would be crop rotation specifically that would make this happen. But here we go. This is the exact reason the Wasteland wasn't fired off.
Yep, 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 yep. There it is. 2020, there it is.
Is this the bracket upset? This looks like the
This
bracket
is
upset.
it! This is it! The
For the
bracket has
first
been
time
flipped.
For the first time in MTG Paper Legacy Discord history, we have the bracket upset. These two players, Champagne won the first of the finals, and now it is going down to one more best of three. And Mike, absolutely, yeah, the Abrupt Decay is another answer to Plague Engineer. We were again thinking of trying to keep it as minimal in terms of the cards that you're bringing in as possible, just to make it so you can go Berg, go fast as much as possible. And you have Leyline of Vitality already in our mind, of course. And once again, us not experienced Elves player, but just in how we would approach the matchup from our own kind of biases, I guess you could say. But that was fantastic. And here's the best part. Here's the fantastic things. These players need to unsideboard. This is a brand new match. This game one is going to be another game one, but they have to roll now. The Tensai no longer just
Oh,
gets the
wow,
play for
Tensei
sure.
no longer has the advantage, so they have to roll it off. Oh, man, I thought because now we're in a bracket reset. Oh
We're
my
in the
god.
bottom bracket now. So the way that we run these events is the top bracket. It's all based off of seed going in, who gets to play first. But on the bottom bracket, players have to roll. The idea behind this is making it so if you're a seed, you don't have to play every single game on the draw. You just as soon as you go to the bottom bracket, you get to roll like is fair, right? But this is going to be really interesting. I'm excited to see if this is the way that see the way that this is going to go. Um,
This is insane. This is
Fatties go
very
burr. Fatties go burr burr burr.
okay, we said it, we're taking these off. We're going to a bracket. It's hot out.
I mean, I'm
Oh,
not gonna lie, it is a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and ruin this lovely, lovely jacket.
oh.
Throw it on the floor. Let's get some cat hair on it.
I mean, I'm not going that
Oh,
far. I just had this dry clean.
oh. Well, that's on you. I was not that prepared for this event. So I'll be totally honest. That's a good old closet suit. Let's put it like that. And we're gonna have to see what these players are going to be doing
Okay,
going
so
into
we're
it.
we're gonna give them a small bit, but okay, so D sideboard, uh, okay, what was up with those keeps? We need to talk about those keeps for Tensai. Like the closest I saw for that was a really good keep was the Green Sun Zenith for on one, because if you're able to Green Sun Zenith on one to I think that's like the second best Elf star or the best Elf to get that mana advantage and the Dryad Arbor going. And yet we saw not Oliver, Champagne go, Mox Diamond pitch land each time and have this aggressive start. I think Champagne really mulliganed better than Tensai on those choices.
So there is a little bit of an interesting factor here. Both of these players do not have previous experience with this deck, with the decks that they're on today. Also, major shout out to them for getting this far. Um, we did see Tensai keep sevens every single time. There was no mulligans on Tensai's side.
Yeah,
The hand that was, I guess, the interesting one for me, and of course, the big thing here is we are not operating with known information. We do not know what the full hand was and kind of what the rationale was behind it. So this is not at all to question the validity of the choices. But the second hand did seem a little questionable when you start going with a glimpse play one creature, right? Especially with the game plan that we're on. If this was a fair matchup, like us against a control deck, for instance, that is a little bit more reasonable, right? To take a slow hand, just get a little bit of value out of your glimpses is all that you really need. But as we saw, these were games are all about going fast. I do think one of the great things about this bracket upset is Tensai is going to get to reapproach this straight from the get go, and he's going to be entering with more information about the way that this matchup is going to be playing out. So I do think we'll be seeing a little bit more aggressive mulligans for. Either blisteringly fast hands or hands that are able to interact and get there through plague engineers. The really hard part, though, on Tensai's side is you choose one of the two, right? You choose a slow hand that can deal with a plague engineer, and then you just get 20/20'd out, and the two plague engineers never came up. Um,
exactly. I mean, to be fair, that game one, that's one for the replay. That's one for the record books. Like honestly, that was beautiful for a deck that has a very very small window of I can possibly do this. That was huge, and like even the look that the look on his face, but like the draw the card, like oh shit, that's the card I need to just turn to you, and just slams it to on the board. That was wild. Now the chance of that happening again in match two is going to be lower, and yet I think Tensai is going to treat this more as a combo matchup rather than a mid range versus a combo matchup.
what we did see for the most part is kind of what we expected that the player on the play is incredibly advantaged here, specifically elves, right? The crazy thing was the upset in that game one, like you talked about. The turn two play, the the turn two Merit Lodge, no turn three combo from Tensai. That was the big upset. We kind of expected the what happened besides that to be the way that it goes. The player who is on the play wins. So I hate to say it. I think a lot is rolling, or a lot is on the line for this dice roll that's going to be coming up.
It's
Uh,
gonna be so big. It's gonna be so big. Because if Tensai is able to take play again, pre-board his deck wins in a vacuum. That's just how it is. The deck is so good it can play itself. And honestly, in a vacuum, game one on the play, I give it 60-40 Tensai. Game two, if Tensai wins the wins the die roll, it's 100% up on Champagne to be the aggressor and be the aggressive mole. When we're talking about like if Champagne wins the dice roll, that throws off all the math for game two and game three. Because if Tensai doesn't keep a fast hand, there's a possibility that Champagne's going to steal this and it's game over. So, it's this die roll is going to be everything. Like, if we're able to figure out if either player, oh man, like I have to say it's gonna have to come down to this. When it comes down to this is gonna influence mulligans, it's gonna influence everything. It's gonna okay,
Oh,
good.
perfect. I had a moment of panic of whether or not I was correct or not that seating no longer matters. But no,
I,
we
I believe
did just confirm that seating no longer matters. We will have a die roll.
uh
Um,
Crips. uh you are correct. I think it's just because of the fact that I've been talking for like 5 hours straight that I'm pretty much at the point that I'm like I need some water. But that's the thing.
well, I'll also be honest with you. At a certain point, when we're talking for so long, it doesn't matter if we have beer in our system or not. It's the all same. I'm a little fuzzy up here right now. You know what I mean? But can we just talk also? Like you and I feel a little bit of fatigue. I also have no right to feel fatigue. This is only my third match we're going into. You've done 5 so far. Um, but
Well,
you know who's really feeling the fatigue right now? It's Champagne and Tensai, and for two very distinctly different reasons. Champagne, I believe, Utah's Pacific time zone, right? Anyway, Champagne is at a reasonable point of the day, right? It's either 5 o'clock p.m. or 4 o'clock p.m., depending on how time zones work out there. I'm not so sure. But Champagne has had to play 6 back to back rounds. We're going into the 7th match for Champagne right now. And after that loser's bracket final that we just saw, that going to 75 minutes, super heady plays, Champagne has a certain amount of mental exhaustion. Tensai has physical exhaustion going on right now. As
yeah,
you said, it's what now? It's 3
3
a.m. for Tensai.
3 a.m. 3 a.m.
And
and 10.
here's the worst part. Tensai had the last 2 rounds off. Tensai might have been in a better situation if Tensai had to play for the last 2 hours up until now. But Tensai was sitting there waiting for everybody to catch up. So you and I may be fatigued. Our lovely stream tech, Mick Diff, who has been sitting behind that computer for 7 to 8 hours now, might be fatigued. But these players are really the ones at this point who are suffering from this.
That's
I'm
what I'm saying.
fascinated to see how this is going to go.
Six
And
6 rounds of legacy is not nothing. That's a heavy mental investment, and even then, Tensai is now on the play here. So this is I hope Tensai kept it something that was aggressive. This
so
is this is gonna be everything.
of note, Tensai won the die roll, so it didn't matter. There's the 50-50 shot of Tensai just getting to play first, and Tensai got it. We're seeing both players keeping 7. Tensai going fetch for Forest. I would imagine we're seeing a turn 1 play right away.
Okay,
And let's see what's going.
which one we got? Alice or a Shepherd? Surprise that's in post board.
Well,
Oh,
no, this is
pre-board,
game 1. This
pre-board.
is
Duh.
game 1.
Oh,
And at the same time, that's another Crater Hoof Behemoth. That's just another win condition. I have absolute
really?
respect for that staying in.
Yeah.
Champagne going with Flag Zone starts. This is not an amazing start unless there is also a Mox Diamond pitch land here.
I'm
But
seeing.
no,
Hold on,
passing it back.
Champagne's bleeding his hand a little bit.
Yeah. Also, big props to Pie Boy. We keep talking about him because Pie Boy is the other one being exhausted here. Pie Boy has sat at the computer, typing everything that's happening in these matches for us for quite some time now. Big respect to Pie Boy as well. And of course, our TO as well, Chaotic Bear. Thank you all for everything that you do. These are the pinnacle roles for when we run these events. 100%. They cannot be done without the people doing what they're doing kind of behind the screen. And
So
we're seeing Bayou play Ranger, right? Quirion
so
Ranger.
yeah, Aquarian Ranger is so important in this because Aquarian Ranger is where you can get a small mana advantage, and we are going to see this Swords of Plowshare going straight for that Aquarian Ranger
Yeah.
because of that. You can by untapping or basically bouncing those forests to hand and giving that essential untap to a land is so big, and okay, so we got Champagne going Green Suns for one. This is 100% going to go grab a
The
Elvish.
Elvish Reclaimer.
Yeah,
Hands down.
yeah, because this sets up for a turn 3 accelerate up. Yeah, I mean, you know how good this is.
Of note, in the first time you play against Elves, Quirion Ranger looks so minuscule. It's like, why would I spend a removal spell on that? Why is that an issue? That card is nuts. When you're untapping a Gaia's Cradle, it is insane.
Yes.
Or kind of the way the reason it's played in Pauper, right? Just to make land drops and get more mana from your few forests, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing Heritage Druid come down. We're seeing,
Okay.
I imagine, another one drop coming down.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then we're going to be off to the races and producing mana. Let's go. Let's go. Show me Nettle Sentinel right here. Right here.
We
Nettle
have
Sentinel one time.
Nettle Sentinel. This is here we go.
All right.
Okay,
So we are now, if we
3,
see Glimpse right here, this is a combo turn. We are going for it.
3 green
Three
mana.
green floating.
This is a
Glimpse.
glimpse.
All right.
All right, get the music going.
Untap on the cast. Go ahead and play Elvish Visionary. Draw a
Okay.
card. Is
Importantly,
this
we
it
have
though?
not had a land drop yet, so there can be a Gaia's Cradle that comes down.
We need land and other one drop here. Oh, almost unfortunate that we had to spend Visionary as the elf being played there, so we don't have another mana source if we were able to draw into one. This might be the choke point for this combo turn.
So, and this is really good that Champagne had the heads up play to just straight up murder that Quirion Ranger as fast as possible. That way, that because there's a Quirion Ranger on the board, this game would be completely different. Like we'd have 3 untapped elves.
And passive.
Oh, Dryad Arbor go.
Dryad Arbor was the land. Okay.
Oh, that's
That's a
bad.
little bit of a heartbreaker. Of note, of course, if the swords wasn't hand and being held up and not so if it was still being held up, which of course wouldn't happen if you green sun for one, then you could be spending it on the heritage druid before the second their third elf is coming down. But regardless, that's not the way things broke. Of course, we
Now,
are seeing everything pass back to Champagne Tensai with only 2 cards in hand.
if,
Of
if
note,
last card in hand is a natural order, it could be game over.
also, if last card in hand is Cradle, which would be difficult for it to be Cradle and you didn't play it on that turn, right? That is also lethal because this Allosaurus Shepherd. We're seeing Scrubland and Pass. This would
Oh my
be an amazing moment if you had Tabernacle in your deck. You could have just gotten tabbied right there. You could have blown up at least 2 of the elves there. Actually, maybe it wouldn't have been that great.
yeah,
You would have taken 1. You would have gotten 1 out of the tabby. Maybe that wouldn't be the best, but you would have also eaten up all the mana for the turn.
yeah. Honestly, that's part of the reason why I'm like, do I build this deck? Because tabbies, ooh, that's those are harsh.
I've just come to accept I'm never going to own a Tabernacle, and I'll just keep playing Reclaimer without it. I just have to play more Plague Engineers. You know what I mean?
Uh, oh well, okay. So Mike correctly identifies everything that is there. That Tabernacle really does not matter, and that's coming from the Elf Master that actually beat a
Well,
Tabernacle on stream.
it eats all the mana is the one thing, right? Like
Yeah,
it
but
literally
at the
makes it so
same time, it
there's
doesn't
1 mana left, right?
it doesn't matter. Like you could win with that with elves
That all right, that is true. You can eventually get there for sure, but
and
it
Nettle
stones
Sentinel on
walls again.
taps. Like
Hey, we have a net. Oh, we do have an Nettle Sentinel. That's right. That is something as well. Tensai draws. Looks like we're thinking about combat. Or nope, tapping to produce 3.
yep.
Of note, you can just swing with 1/5/5. That's something that you could do.
I mean, you're not wrong. That is pretty good. And I hear, as we saw earlier, everything that's 4 toughness and better is pretty good in Legacy.
You're not wrong. In this matchup, doesn't really matter too much, let's be honest,
Swords
but
of Plowshares, yeah. Yeah, but That Burn versus Ninjas matchup was still fun.
Tensai tanking just a little bit. I wonder if we're thinking about I mean, no, if there's natural order, you just go for it. I wonder what we're tanking on at the moment. Potentially just the sequencing. Yeah, natural order does of course win here. That's the beauty of Crater Hoof math, right? You just assume that it always wins.
Yeah.
Crater Hoof X is 2?
No, Green Sun Zenith X is
Oh,
2,
I'm
not
sorry.
Great
I'm sorry. I'm
equals X is 2.
look at me. I told you I don't need beer right now. Everything's fuzzy already. Looks like we're going and getting what is it? Elvish
Green
Visionary.
Suns for 1,
Oh, is Green Sun X's
1. Yeah,
Oh,
Wirewood Symbiote. Okay.
okay. Okay.
Okay, that might do some stuff, especially with a Elvish Visionary. Ooh, that's got some damage. The missing part here is definitely going to be the Gaia's Cradle. The Gaia's Cradle gives you enough of an explosive boost that you can get to this to get to the natural order kill.
I mean, at this point, you now get to bounce the Visionary back if you want. Still have the 2 mana floating, get to untap the Heritage Druid to do so, so you have more mana to produce. I'm a little surprised we no, I'm sorry, we did tap the Nettle Sentinel there.
Yeah. Definitely did tap the Nettle Sentinel for it. The Nettle Sentinel is just essentially being able to flip over and over and essentially just constantly creating mana. Okay,
Yep.
so Wirewood Symbiote untaps the Heritage Druid, activated the ability, so it flips over. One of the heads up plays that you see in Legacy Elves. That way you can make sure not to commit a games rule violation.
It's okay. Half the time I'm watching somebody play Elves, I'm barely keeping track of it. Either way, they could do it multiple times, and I probably wouldn't make it, or I probably wouldn't notice it.
So Elvish Visionary untaps Nettle Sentinel.
And this is really the value game plan that we were talking about previously, right? Like in certain matchups, this is exactly what you want to be doing. Just I'll draw 2 cards a turn. I'll just keep playing 1/1s. This is totally fine. You need to respond to them eventually. But the big worry here is Champagne can just crop rot at end of turn or have one of the 2 pieces in hand right now and
Yeah,
get to Visionary away. Or I'm sorry, Reclaimer away, go and get it, and then have Dark Depths for the or get Dark Depths activation on the subsequent turn. But
yeah, but that's the thing is like then it attacks on the turn after that. You're gonna be dead by them.
I mean, will you? That's the real thing. It's all a matter of what Tensei is able to find on this kind of value grind turn. And is this no, I thought
If
that was a
this
pass
is
back for a second. No, not
if
quite
this is
yet.
a cradle, it might be over.
There is no land drop yet this turn.
Yeah, Birch Lord
Okay,
Raiders.
here we go. Now we can really start producing mana.
Okay, that goes up to 4 mana. Green Suns for like 2.
I think this was a Green Sun's X for 1. There was 3 mana in the pool there, or was there 4? No, for
No,
2.
it
Okay.
was 2. Elvish Visionary. So Elvish Visionary draws the card. Then El Sentinel's untapped to the point because that Nettle Sentinel can attack this turn. So because of that, I think this is there is a natural order in hand. I think Tensai is building up to the point that Nettle Sentinel plus Crater Hoof is lethal. Oh, also the Dryad Arbor can attack.
Yeah, that's just it. I think we Green Sun X is 2 again, getting another Visionary.
I think so. X is 2.
Yep.
You can find a wire. Yeah, another Visionary. I'm guessing last card in hand has to be literally a natural order.
We'll see. Of course, is just Gaia's Cradle uh Crater Hoof, or I'm sorry, Gaia's Cradle
Mhm.
Natural Order lethal at this point?
It doesn't even need the Guy's Cradle. The one Dried Arbor is untapped plus
Yeah, that's true.
the 3 L's with no Sentinel untaps, sacrifice literally anything and slam the Crater Hoof.
With those back-to-back Green Sun Texas 2, our spotter, Pie Boy, asking if the record is stuck in the Matrix, and he's just glitching out at the moment.
Yeah, because that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that's
Last land drop.
last
Looks
land
like this
drop.
is a pass.
Is it a pass?
Looks like it's a pass.
Oh, that's brutal.
So it's not creator. It's not natural order.
Oh man, that's brutal. Okay, so in that case, Champagne got bought a turn. Importantly here, this is lethal on Tensai's next turn with a Allosaurus Shepherd activation.
Yeah, that's very true. There's enough to swing, go around. You also have an untap.
Yeah, exactly. You have an untap as well as the fact that you can yeah, because that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 35 plus an untap. Yeah, that's lethal. And it's 7 to activate LS?
It's
6. Oh
six.
my
It's six to
gosh.
activate. Well,
It's 2
champagne.
activations of Heritage Druid.
What champagne needs, and it doesn't really do anything. Champagne needs 2 removal spells because of this insect on the board. So of course, the insect is live again on this turn, can protect the Allosaurus Shepherd if it's pointed, if removal is pointed its way. We're seeing the diamond come down, pitching a Windswept Heath.
Okay. Hey, hear me out here. Last card in hand for Tensai is what's it called? Oh, the last Stride Arbor.
Oh, that is actually a potential.
That's my thought process.
That
That's my that's the only thing that I could think that he wouldn't play during that turn.
Yeah, and specifically, it can't be Craterhoof just because of this bounce sequence. You would just keep
Yeah.
everything on board,
Yep.
and that was the other potential thing that it could be.
Okay.
Drawing a card.
And activate a Shepherd. Activate Shepherd. Go.
Well, let's see. Looks like Tensai's tanking for a moment here. Got to think about how we're doing this. Elves at time really just operates this like this Rube Goldberg machine. You know what I mean? All these
Oh,
various cards coming
100%.
together. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I can draw 2 extra cards a turn. Or here, let me flip my cards upside down to keep track of it. Oh, I just play a new Nettle Sentinel, so I have another land bounce and untap, and it just works kind of together to make this overwhelming force of value that also has the potential of just going over and comboing. Yes, Malfi, the game is still going on.
There was a bracket reset, Malfi. There was a bracket reset. It happened. It finally
Champagne
happened.
Champagne did what both of us failed to do, Malfi. There's an actual bracket reset for once. It is the first time in the MTGPL history.
Yeah, that's the reason why, dude. We've been here, and it is absolutely hype. It is one of those things that we have been casting all day for this, and we were prepared for this. We were prepared for this possibility. But Melfi, if you weren't here for it, it was the sickest match one, game one. That was it was so cool.
Looks like we are tanking still at the moment.
Uh, I
There's a
I
lot of there's a lot of mental math to do at the moment
I
to figure out what
wonder
the best line is.
I wonder if Tensai remembers the Allosaurus Shepherd text.
I'm willing to bet he remembers that part of Allosaurus Shepherd.
I mean, Tensai is a brilliant Magic the Gathering player, one of the top best. But here is the thing: Allosaurus Shepherd has a lot of text, and this is your first time really piloting elves. It's possible, dude. It's possible that you're in the heat of the moment, all the stress that's happening. I think it's possible for Tensai to possibly forget that you can activate Allosaurus Shepherd for 6 and turn all of those, except for the Wirewood symbiote, all of them into 5/5s.
Unfortunately, moving creatures around is not necessarily a game action, so we might need to do a reminder that we do need to keep pace of play going. This is a real event after all.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I have massive empathy for the amount of the amount of potential lines there are at the moment. It is difficult for sure to figure out what is proper when this is honestly your first real day playing elves, right?
yeah, exactly. And this is why I say, like, when people are like, "Oh, is it pick up?" I'm like, it is a critical mass deck that is just so, like, elves is just, it's up there, dude. It's up there. Like I wouldn't want to pick up Elf. Like I play a lot of decks and I'm good. And I'd rather not sit there and get like a brain aneurysm every time I need to like make a decision if I'm gonna play this Elvish Visionary or not.
Mm. Uh, I don't
Yeah,
know. Honestly, I think if I had I think if I had 3 more Cradles, I would absolutely be playing Elves, to be honest. But that's a coulda, woulda, shoulda type thing.
yeah,
That ain't gonna affect the real world decisions for me.
yeah. Rest in peace, Cradles. Elves. That so expensive. No.
So
Okay,
we're producing 3 mana.
so we got 3 mana.
What are the cards in hand? One's a known visionary.
Oh wait, this Wirewood Symbiote untap, return Elfin control, untap target creature.
Yeah, so
So
it can
go on.
untap one of these tapped creatures.
I real Tensai's doing. This is big brain and something that you and I, with our tiny brains, did not think about. Allosaurus Shepherd says they become a dinosaur. Oh, in addition to his other creature types. Okay, so they're still elves. Because I thought if they only became dinosaurs, he couldn't untap them or couldn't bounce one of them to use it for the untap ability. Like I thought that that was is what he was concerned about, and like having to make the mana and do that during that time and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely isn't a factor. I think it's just a matter of optimizing. I think he knows that there is a potential way to get lethal here, but it's a matter of just looking at all the potential lines. I do actually wonder if just these 3 cards that are in hand are messing up
I think that's what
the
it is.
committing to the onboard lethal at the moment.
Yeah,
Tensai apologizing for tanking a little bit long,
yeah, and
but
honestly, this is it. This is invitational status, dude.
visionary draw.
Okay, trying to see how much
Show me the
value.
show me the cradle. Just show me the cradle. Champagne, I believe, has 2 cards? 3
Two goes
cards. 3
hand.
cards. Of note, if there was a swords or an abrupt decay, I imagine that it would have been fired off pretty promptly before we got to this turn.
Yes.
And of course, doesn't really matter too much with the Wirewood symbiote. I suppose actually there's potential to keep it if you think that your opponent needs to activate the Wirewood, which in our line that we've been talking about, you do, and then in response to that, you can interact with the Allosaurus Shepherd. Um, but let's see.
Okay.
So
Casting a Nettle Sentinel. Okay.
well, we're getting a lot of creatures. We know that much. You know it's bad when I have to turn my head so I can like actually look at the board state and figure out exactly what's going on.
Oh my. Does he not see it? It's entirely possible he doesn't see it. No,
One
Mal.
could
This,
not blame him at
this
all.
is still pre-board. This is second match pre-board game one.
And there are no Assassin's trophies in this 75.
He doesn't see it.
There is no Lage and there is no threat of Lage unless exactly a crop rotation happens.
He doesn't see it. I'm committed that he doesn't see it.
There's still other ways to get lethal here. I mean, like if you just spike the correct natural order off the top. Yeah, and we're just going hard with the bouncings.
Dude, my heart can't take this.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's so easy for us to look at it from like the top, and we are not emotionally invested in this, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where when you're actually there on the table, there's so many other factors going on. There is the threat of state of a single blocker from Dark Depths. But if you're going for lethal here, it's just an additional blocker. And from that first line,
It's
you
not
were
even
able to get
additional.
through with enough 5/5s that it didn't matter.
It's not even additional because it's not. If he does that, he has to tap down the
Oh yeah.
Visionary. So it's the same amount of blockers.
Yeah, that's actually very true. It's a single blocker. I suppose the threat of the additional blocker is if you specifically have crop rotation.
What is he doing here, man?
Can you crop rotation for Sejeri Step to target someone else's things? Sejeri Step is just yours, right?
No, it's just yours. Uh,
Yeah, okay. That's not a line, unfortunately.
is is Tensai going to Green Sun Zenith here for a Crater Hoof and just go for the gets?
I'm
Like
not even gonna count that's lethal by my understanding. I assume at least.
Quarian Ranger, untaps Nettle Sentinel. Activating Allosaur Shepherd 2 times doesn't do anything. It doesn't make him 10/10s or 5/5s. Oh, and hard cast the Crater Hoof.
Okay, there we go. Um, concede? Yeah, okay, there we go.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Here, Doc and I are going like, "Isn't there onboard lethal?" It doesn't matter. You can just go ahead and do the Crater Hoof line and get there. That was amazing. That was actually super awesome. So this is the part of the Elves deck that we hadn't previously been able to see. We've seen this vroom, 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 go fast type of game so far. But like we were saying, this is the Rube Goldberg machine, right? I'm going to fiddle with this part and draw a card. I'm going to fiddle with this and produce a little bit of mana. Uh, entering scoop phase. Yes, exactly. As soon as
Yeah,
you see that come down, we know that there is no way to deal with that. The greatest part of Crater of Behemoth is that you really don't need to do the math the vast majority of the time. The other three creatures is probably lethal, let's be totally honest. But we are going into game two of the second match for our finals bracket. We had
nice.
previously talked about sideboarding, and we were a little wrong with what people ended up doing, right? Um, just to kind of sum up what we were saying is that we thought Champagne was going to be bringing in Plague Engineers and Gaddock Teague, with the potential of bringing in Veil of Summer. If you really do think they're Tensai is bringing in Thoughtseize and Abrupt Case, which we didn't, so we didn't
Yeah,
think Veil of Summer would go in. Does that opinion change at all when or Champagne's approaching this? Do you think
no.
the board plan has changed at all?
I think this 100% does not change. The only thing is that like our takeouts change. Like, it's like things like Bajuka Bog are worthless. Caracas is worthless. Like
Sajiri step.
Sajiri Step worthless. It's like you have stuff to just cut, and
I still like Sylvan Library coming out as well, honestly.
uh, I don't. I don't mind one of them leaving. If one of them leaves, it's not the worst. If like I wouldn't cut two because of the fact that you still like as we've seen, there's games where like Elves has slow starts. It happens, or you're
Sylvan Safekeeper is a pretty live takeout as well. I suppose with this deck, you are a little bit worried about taking out too many lands. I think you can afford to take out two, though, honestly. But honestly, again, it comes down to what the players really want to do. Yeah, Gaddock Teague, we didn't see it actually come in, but we assume that it came in.
yeah.
Hits Natural Order and it hits Green Sun. Like, that's all that you really need. Let's jump over to the Elves plan, where we were wrong. Straight up. We saw a card here that we weren't expecting to come in. We were expecting Leyline of Vitalities, Progenitus to make it so that you can get a natural order with whatever elf is left over with the Plague Engineer and still be able to get there. And we thought Pithing Needles. However, in the third game, we actually saw Abrupt Decays. I personally was a little concerned with overboarding in this matchup. I felt a lot of it came down to going as fast as possible. And when you start bringing in 7 sideboard cards with elves, that really becomes a lot harder, especially when you're going like glimpse combo turns, right?
I think that's what
Um,
our problem was in game 2 and 3 is yeah, Tensai fetched for Bayou to cast Abrupt Decay in both of those games. And it's one of those things that it did work out in one case where he just natural order into Progenitus and literally Champagne has no answers for that. But it's one of those things that they I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, like maybe it just says Tensai's inexperience with the deck, thinking that abrupt decays are more important. I do not think abrupt decays should be coming in. When I was talking about this, I was like, maybe if you want to bring in abrupt decays, you do a 1-1 split between one abrupt decay and one pithy. But
well,
like,
of note, and it is worth pointing out, it is another answer to Plague Engineer, right? The real question is the how much you can afford to board thing, where it's very clear Leyline of Vitality comes in. For those of us who missed this part of the conversation, it's the classic Spider Silk Umbra tech against Electrickery and Pauper Elves. The +0/+1 basically turning off Plague Engineer in terms of killing everything. But then also you gaining life in this matchup, which is huge. Like you go up to 25 life in Elves. That's nuts. But again, Abrupt Decay just it doesn't have as much versatility as Leyline of Vitality, and I'm mostly worried about overboarding, again, from my very biased perspective. Again, we didn't see that coming from Tensai in the first match, but we'll see how it works out for this one. It looks like both players keep 7. Champagne, of course, being on the play after that, going Forest, Elvish Reclaimer, and Tensai getting a fetch land.
and going straight into the a really good play of getting that Dryad art. just sets up so much for game for the next turn. Having that 3 mana on turn 2 is massive. And this is the first time we've seen Champagne not be slamming a Mox Diamond. And but can make up for it with the Flagstones of Trocare, which is a pretty good card.
This looks like my type of start right here. Right now, you're looking like my slow version of Reclaimer. But
Yeah,
yeah, this is the
like
combo, as we call it. This is the better part of the combo. Who cares about Dark Depths? I want to go turn 1 Elvish Reclaimer into turn 2 Flagstones. That's the only combo for me, baby.
is this a glimpse? Is it,
This is a glimpse.
are we getting there? Is Tensai go for a turn 2?
Let's see. We're tanking right now. We're floating a mana, getting the
Fire.
insect out. Draw a card off that insect.
Okay.
There's 1
Literally
mana
last
floating.
card in hand is what's we call it? Gaia's Cradle and Elvish.
Cradle.
Oh, Cradle.
All right. This is kind of what we
This,
want to see.
this is an Elvish Visionary. We might be getting there.
Taps it already, so we're going up to 3 mana here.
2 mana.
Uh oh, I'm sorry, you're right. It was glimpsed into insect, of course. My
Yeah.
apologies. 1 floating for the Allosaurus Shepherd.
Yeah. Okay. I don't hate this either. And 100% there's gonna be a Wasteland got off of this, so you can't expect to untap with this Gaia's Cradle.
I mean, that's pretty great if you're prompting Champagne to have to go get a Wasteland and not be proactively going and doing what his deck wants to do.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah, I
agree
agree.
that likely will be what happens. Um, it feels pretty bad though. Seeing 2 shepherds and pass away.
Yeah, so
Removal is essentially turned off at this point, unless you're going to hit the insect. Sacking Reclaimer trigger before the resolution of the I'm sorry, Flagstone's trigger before the Reclaimer one resolves. We're doing it backwards, but okay, it doesn't really matter too much.
so here's my question. If Champagne gets stage here, do you think it's going to go for our Dark Depths next turn? And in that case, now we see the Shepherd, and there's oh wait, no, there's only 2 elves on the field. I was just going to say I forgot that it doesn't give all creatures; it's only elves.
Yeah, that is the best part. If that turned insects and dryads into 5/5s, also, it would be nutty. Um, so the real question here is whether we go untap plague.
Oh, hold on. Let's
I think he's realizing that, okay, guess the wasteland instead.
Okay. I
I
was
can
about to
respect
say,
this.
like, if Champagne is going to present lethal on the next turn, that's okay. But if you're planning on play any more turns in this game, you have to get rid of this Guy's Cradle.
I guess we're just hoping for plague engineer to be slammed here. If we're on Champagne side, of course.
Yeah.
Wasteland goes and hits the guy's cradle. Absolute good target. Seeing other flagstones come down. 3 mana plague. All right,
Yep.
so before this actually resolves, I imagine that we're going to see an insect bounce on one of these.
Yeah.
Champagne choosing what to name. Oh, it looks like Tensai said it resolved beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's yeah. Sequencing is everything.
it is
But to be
important.
fair, it's not like there was a ley line or anything like that to protect it. So unless you have an abrupt decay, hey, to get rid of this, I don't know.
I think that we're very much on the natural order plan at this point.
I think we're on the point where we just want a natural progenitus like we did before, and just slap them with the danger noodle.
Seeing glimpse, okay. Are we going to start playing elves into the void? Okay, no, we got an insect.
Okay.
Got that draw. Of course, Champagne is at least 2 turns away from presenting lethal.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry,
Assuming,
3 turns away from presenting lethal.
yeah, assuming that no flagstones is played. So, ooh, I don't know about fetching there. Unless you draw an abrupt decay. Unless you draw an abrupt decay, then I definitely agree with fetching there. Nope, not go for the Bayou. Green Sun Zenith X
X is
is
0.
0. Yeah.
Won't get
So
another Dryad.
I think what Tensai is going here for here is to set up to have 4 mana to be able to natural order one of these symbiotes into a Progenitus.
Of course, you do not draw a card off this Dryad Arbor because it was Green Suns. And
Yeah,
wait,
exactly.
Green Glimpse is a cast, right?
Glimpse is a cast trigger. Yes.
Yeah.
Beck is the draw. Is the okay. So we have a flagstones and we have a merit. We present a merit lage.
Yeah, and actually, this is just it. Natural order isn't good enough anymore because
Yeah.
Progenitus is not going to get there in time against this Dark Depths that is coming at
Ooh,
you.
hold on. There's no. I mean, if there's another Wirewood Sentinel,
Oh, I think
you could play.
You buffered out for a moment there. Would you mind repeating that?
Oh yeah. So if there's no like a Nettle Sentinel or a Wirewood Symbiote or something like that that you could possibly sacrifice to the natural order, or and be able to attack with 4 plus the Crater Hoof. That's some solid like that can get there across the because
And
we're
yeah, that's it.
talking each one of them gets +5 with a Crater Hoof. So that's 6, 12, 18, 24 plus the that's 32. So if the hand is exactly off card or off elf card in natural order, you could get there.
That's actually a really good point. I didn't think of that line at all. Let's just going in on Insect and Dryad beats.
Yeah. And Quarian Ranger into the void.
It dying, baby. It going down.
Yelling Timber is actually very appropriate here because there's a lot of force on the.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Bad joke, I know.
this is a really hard situation. So crop rotation makes it so Champagne can kill the following turn. Even without the crop rotation, Champagne's presenting lethal in 2 turns. Reclaimer is active, ton down. Or ton dom, my apologies.
Yeah. So Tensai needs a natural order here to win. And it has to be a natural order for a Crater Hoof. That's the important part. Yes, Twin Down Reclaimer is active.
And we're seeing the Green Sun come.
What is this Green Sun for 1?
It is getting harder and harder to figure out a way that Tensai is going to be able to get through this.
No, Sentinel. Okay. So I I
We
I
need,
there has to be a natural order draw, period.
yeah, and we need Champagne to not have crop rotation here. Let's see if we're going to be able to see this game 3.
This is so tight. This is completely opposite of what we saw in match 1. Is that floating mana?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Either that or
Or
just stack
like
the flagstones without floating mana. Either way,
or
it's
there's
not
gonna
going
be
to
a
be relevant
storage
for
or
this
something
one.
like that. Oh.
Yeah, Crimson. 2 of the 3 sideboard games, there's been Plague Engineer. Of note that it has not been all of them, of course. And this is it.
This is
Tensai has 1 turn to present lethal
Tensai
through
has
3 blockers.
Tensai has this 1 turn to play a natural order.
That, yeah, ultimately.
Yeah. Because if there's a natural order, that can finish it off.
Well, you go natural order, sack the Dryad. Go get Crater Hoof. You have 5 swing. You have 5 attackers already. You have +6 off the Crater Hoof, and yeah, you just
Yeah.
absolutely got there.
Yeah, that's enough to get there. But Mike, like there's only 1 card in hand, so it can't be like a value train that you go for it because the mana just doesn't work out. Oh, man, it's got to be a top deck. It's got to be a top deck of the century.
Of course, of note here, if Champagne wins, we just go to game 3.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is not the end of the line for Tensai whatsoever. But
Uh,
is this just a pass?
Man, there's got to be something.
I mean, Tensai has to see the writing on the wall here, right?
Elvish Visionary.
Visionary, we redrawn,
That's a redraw,
and is dead.
and it's dead. Do we hit the natural order? I think we might be going to a game 3 here.
The fact that there's no slam right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking at. Tensai probably trying to consult if there's anything he could do, like because Allosaurus Shepherd's out the window, all of it's gone. Doesn't even have a black source for abrupt decay.
Chaotic Bear, that is very true. We might be actually getting game 3 in every single feature match today.
Oh my god, we are. Oh
This is
wow, yeah.
actually this is absolutely nutty.
Okay, game 3, match 2 of our grand finals. All right, let's do this. We're in for the long haul. I want to see a ley line of vitality. I want to see I want to see going for a turn 2 kill for both players. Like this is gonna be this is it. I'm done. We're all done. We want to see who takes this down because I there's a lot of German players right now that are probably watching this waiting for something to happen here because they were all playing in the tournament and it's late as the hell there too.
Well, if there's one person who really wants to go to bed right now, it's Tensai. Let's be very clear. Tensai has
Oh yeah,
never had to stay up this late before for any of our events. Um, and that is actually a really good point. We have get to see Leyline of Vitality actually come in, which has been this tech that we have been just lauding about this entire time, right?
dude,
Like
I
how
want to
excited
see
we
it.
are to see it in the matchup. Of note, Tensai gets to be on the play. So far in this entire series between the two player, it's been the die roll that's determined it. Besides that first game where Champagne had the nuts turn two. Um, and Tensai has the play again. Champagne, I really do feel is going to have to be doing something nutty. Um, maybe turn two play against you will be enough. I
And it's
kind of
all
hope
going to
that
come
we don't
down
see it
to
come down to that.
it's going to
Uh,
come down to that play engineer again. Like Champagne has aggressively mulliganed for it every single time. You notice Champagne has been taking more mulligans on average than Tensai as Champagne has been searching for those specific cards. Well, Tensai, like the first time I kept like a semi decent hand was like what we saw in game one here. Now got beat up by that plague engineer. Okay, got it. You got to have a plan for that for game 3. This is it. This is where everything is over. So this is for all the marbles.
yeah,
I
I do still really think that when you're on elves and in this sort of matchup, knowing that you're going up against two plague engineers specifically, I really do think that you just keep hands that go fast. If you can find a hand that presents turn 3, you go for it. You're on the play. You need your opponent to have exactly Mox Diamond or yeah, exactly Mox Diamond start in order to have it actually blow you up before your turn 3. I do think that that's going to be the thing that matters most. But
Yeah,
so far, I have been wrong about that. We haven't actually seen a real turn 3 yet, but we do keep seeing this plague engineer being the real issue, and it keeps
I
showing up. I mean,
I'm
2 of
keeping
the
any
3
hand with the ley
sideboard
line.
games has been about it for sure.
I really hope Tensai brought in the ley line. If Tensai did not bring in the ley line, I think that's like the biggest entire tournament. And
We know for a fact that he's brought in the ley line. Like that's the exact reason that it's here. Shin, just so you know, this is actually we kind of play a best of 5, not really though. So what we do is the winner of the top bracket and the winner of the bottom bracket face off. The winner of the bottom bracket has to win 2 matches. So Champagne was on the bottom bracket, 1-2-1. So we had a bracket reset, and they went into a brand new match. And this is also a best of 3. So we are looking at the final game for this series. There was a bracket reset. But no matter what, this is it. The winner of this is going to take it down. And I'm really quickly going to go over storylines again for everyone who's recently joined us. Tensai is our previous Invitational winner. Last season was first seed going into it, took it down with Sneak and Show. This season, for over the last 3 months, also was the first seed. Went into this with Elves, playing it for the first time, takes it all the way to the finals again in the top bracket. Champagne, on the other hand, Champagne is our player who is on the board to get bingo for the first time. Champagne, if Champagne wins this game, is going to be the first person ever to win a weekend event, monthly league, and then also the Invitational. It's going to be the first person to get the MTGPL bingo, if you know what I mean. And at the same time, Champagne has kept the tradition alive in terms of being the person in the bottom bracket who lost out in the first round and then just played nonstop all the way to get to this final bracket. So there's a lot of storylines going on here as well. And of course, there's a lot of exhaustion going on for both players, right? Tensai being in Dubai had had over 2 hours to wait for the two other matches that had to happen for Champagne to finally get to him. Where meanwhile, Champagne has just been playing match after match after match. This has been match number 7 today, and there's been some real grueling ones. Let's put it like that.
So this is what I was talking about here. Champagne is aggressively mulliganing for Plague Engineer. This has to be a red flag to Tensai. This Tensai is willing to keep on 7, but like, God, I'm seeing this. I'm just like, ugh. Champagne is gonna go for it, and if I see land Mox Diamond, you know that turn 2 is gonna be that Plague Engineer, and that can just end the entire game. Now, Tensai did have the out there to win last game, but like did not find the natural order. So I'm personally here looking for a fast. No matter what, a natural order wins this game.
Yeah, it is difficult in Champagne's shoes, nonetheless.
Oh, it's extremely difficult.
Um,
This is
as
the hardest part. I mean, you're not a
as
forceful deck.
Yeah, as we've talked about, this matchup has come down to the play a lot. There's only been one out of these last 5 games that it wasn't just the person on the play winning. And the ley line.
Here it is.
We've been
Finally.
talking about this for over an hour now, and we finally actually get to see the ley line in play. The ley line shutting off the Plague Engineer in terms of actually killing all the elves. Sure, they become O1s, but who cares when I'm going to be playing a Crater Hoof anyway? And then also, every elf that ETBs is going to gain a life. Guess what? Tensai is going to be above 20 life.
Creatures, Dryad Arbor, shit like that. You're just gonna start gaining so much life here that like this might be the difference in this matchup. If Champagne was trying to count on that, and I don't think there's Champagne in this list. No,
No, there's no. I mean, Knight of Autumn is main board. We do know, or I'm sorry, we saw in the previous match that that Champagne kept in the Knight of Autumns out of respect for Leyline and out of respect for Pithing Needle. That is the way to deal with this Leyline, but is the only potential way. You cannot abrupt decay that, and that's it in terms of answers to it for sure. And yeah, we got to make sure we're hitting that life gain. I think Tensai not gaining a life, that is not a May, I believe.
yeah, it's not.
It is not a May. It has to happen.
Yeah, and this is really cool stuff. Like, uh, this is some high class tech that I gotta appreciate. It's not something you're gonna see every day, so it's not on your radar.
Oh,
Tensei on
that's surrender
L
the
was
fetch.
on your radar, and it just oof, this is gonna be good. You're already over 20, so you can take a single merit lay shit.
Oh
So
no, we are at 20. There was a fetch line beforehand, but no, now we're at 21. There we go.
yeah,
Now
and
we're
we're
at
at 22
22.
now, and this is some good stuff. Like, I do not hate this at all. You know, you can even go the slower game route because of the fact that this ley line. I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure like in the post board games in match one, Tensai should have mulliganed for the ley line.
It is easy to say at in hindsight that
In
should have
hindsight,
happened,
yeah,
right?
in hindsight, yeah.
Again, it's so easy for us to be up here, not having any of the stress on us, not actually having to take any of the risks. And sometimes you take gamble hands, you know what I mean? And sometimes that is just correct. We're seeing a swords come on. Let's see what this swords is targeting. Let's say it's hitting the heritage druid.
It's
So
gotta hit
10
the
going up
heritage
to
druid.
23. Yep.
Yeah,
And let's see what happens. So
uh,
Tensai's kind of lost the ability to have a incredibly explosive hand at this point. It's a little dependent on what's in hand, but you can just play this value game as we've been talking about.
Yeah, and with the ley line out, you have the time to do it, but you could take one hit from Merit Lage, not two, one hit. So it's kind of important that you gotta start going like relatively soon here. So we got 2 mana, 3/4. Oh, are we gonna see a natural order for Progenitus?
That's just 3 mana, right? Oh, I'm sorry. The Dryad. Yeah, of course. The Dryad Arbor is a creature. I'm getting messed up with that being in the
Oh,
background. Yeah, we just
oh,
go
is
get
this happening?
Progendus. We just go get Progendus. Progendus is going to be the killer here.
Is this it? Is Tensei gonna
Champagne Champagne has to make Dark Depths within his next turn cycle. Or I'm sorry,
champagne?
has a setup turn and then can make Dark Depths still, but
Yeah,
oh, but
definitely.
you're above 20. Oh no, you do need to make Dark Depths on this
No,
next turn cycle.
he didn't sideboard
Oh.
in the Progenitus.
Oh. Wow. So we're seeing it. So we are seeing a post board game plan change from Tensai. Previously, when this happened in the previous match, we saw Progenitus come down from an early from the good old early natural order. But that would have been amazing here. Unfortunately, that is just a hasty 7/7.
And if you're gonna get in, you might as well get in with a query as well. That's a 3.
Oh yeah, that is a 3/3. I guess we missed that. Yeah, that is a good point, everyone. That he could have just drawn the Progenitus, but
Oh, yeah.
we could see whatever the ways that happened.
Okay. I mean, that's not nothing. You can technically cast Progenitus with a Birch Lore Ranger. I've seen do it before.
That is technically doable. You're right.
Yeah, it is technically possible. It is very hard. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Mike, if you've done it once, I agree. I think it's definitely possible. Like but you're a very good elf player, Mike. Like Tensai is coming into this. This is the first Elves tournament, or as far as we know, the first Elves tournament. So, oh man, oh, I think if Tensai drew the Progenitus, I think that might be the a.
That might be the death knell. You're very right. It's all about whether or not Champagne can set up Merit Lodge in the next 2 turns, I believe. Or is it 1 turn?
Yeah, but that being said, I am
Or the
turning
land drops.
this Critter Hoof sideways every single turn until my opponent's dead, or until it gets removed.
Yeah, of note, there's no Stonewall for it unless we get to a point that we have 3 more lands in the graveyard and can play one of the Night of the Reliquaries out. Let's see. Let's pull up this list again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either
Neither
that or the Merit
Reliquary
Lodge.
could do it. Neither Reliquary could do it, but
I
yeah,
mean, and the 3 more swords.
I'm turning this hoof sideways until Champagne's dead. But Champagne has so many outs here, so much time. Like honestly, oh, it's so close.
Before damage, we see this fetch coming in. Wonder if we'll see a block activation. Unfortunately, that Elvish Reclaimer is still just a 1/2. We need one more land in the graveyard. Oh, but block activation will put one more in. We're able to fade 4 of that damage.
It doesn't have trample anymore. It only gets trampled when it enters the battlefield.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that that isn't naturally on it.
Yeah. Okay.
It
Well,
looks like there was no block yet.
yeah.
Or was there? We'll have to check with our table spotter.
Uh, swings for 6. Champion goes 12, passes, plays teeth.
Oh, and there was a block.
Block before damage, gets protection. So you keep the Elvish Reclaimer alive. I've hello.
Oh, so we're on the 2 swings with Dark Depths plan. You cannot attack with the Crater Hoof anymore.
Yeah, because it'll take the
Oh, what a turnaround. Oh my goodness.
but still 24 life, that's 2 hits. And when you hit once, that Crater Hoof's coming back in.
But you're at 11 life and you have a chump blocker. Oh, Tensai needs to show us something here.
Tensai needs to gain Tensai needs to do something. It needs to needs to gain some life, needs to do something.
But we gotta see what's happening here. So what's the line? What can get us out? We have 3 cards in hand, or is that 4?
I think it's 3 cards in hand. What's got to be in hand? There's got to be something. I mean, we're assuming one of them might be Progenitus because one of them, Progenitus in hand, is the only reason why you wouldn't go for it immediately.
I also wonder if there's more natural orders in hand.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what we were talking about when we were talking about the 2 things that you wanted if you were on Tensai's side. You wanted either a ley line hand or you wanted something that was really fast. And it's all about
Uh,
how it lines up that if you take a ley line hand and your opponent isn't on the Plague Engineer plan, it's just on a fast, like, make the Merit Lage plan, that ley line isn't going to do a whole ton. I mean, it
yeah.
fogs for a single turn, essentially, but yeah, Malfi, unfortunately, there is no Assassin's Trophy in this 75. This 75, of course, being really specifically designed for the 7 other players and what Tensai was expecting in the metagame, choosing to go with these ley lines over, honestly, the Assassin's Trophies. A lot of the same cards are on the board from a standard Elves list. But there is the Lage.
What's
There
the
we
crop
go.
rotation finding? Who is it finding? There's only one 3-step.
Finding
Finding Bright
Wasteland.
Arbor?
It looks like he was finding a Wasteland and wasting the Guy's Cradle.
Okay, that makes sense. That's
Yeah,
legitimate play.
that seems very, very good. Swing, get Tensai
Take
down to
200.
5. And it's not looking good.
I think that's from the art series tokens. I know it's the Red Dragon from the book Red Dragon. Super good. Okay.
I'm passing it over. Tensai. One of the cards we need is Cradle. I'm going to assume that much.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the cards needed is Cradle. So Tensai's at 11 here with one chump blocker that has to go at the Crater Hoof Myth. Oh, it was the Progenitus in hand.
Agendus, other Leyline, 2
Oh,
lands. All
there
right,
it
y'all.
is.
We have
There it is.
This was such a fantastic event today. We had our first ever bracket upset and Champagne losing the first round and going all the way to the top, beating Tensai twice to be our season 3 invitational champion. We want to say massive props to all the players today. Big shots to both Champagne and Tensai for making it to the final bracket today. But then all of our players, everybody put on such a massive grind to even get to this point today. Big thanks to all the players. Big thanks to our community. Big thanks to Mike, our TO, or I'm sorry, not our TO, our stream deck, who's been behind the screen all day today. Big thanks to Chaotic Bear, who's been running this entire thing since, 3 months ago when the invitational grind first started. And big thanks to all of our spotters who have been here today as well. Doc, this has just been a fantastic day. I have a real big question, though. If I wanted to get involved with what I've been seeing, if I wanted to get in on the next invitational grind, how could I do that?
Okay, exclamation point Discord get you an invite. But honestly, our Discord links are everywhere. Our Twitter, we put them on all of our YouTube videos. We put them down at the bottom somewhere in our Twitch channel. Just it's a good place to be to play Magic. Like I understand there's a lot of animosity towards Legacy in this, like, oh, it's a turn 1 format or it's like so expensive. We're a proxy friendly, a casual server that we see that uh, this is all about just keeping paper Legacy alive. That's all it is. It's about playing Eternal Magic and playing with the best format. So, you know what? This was a massive event, massive of like time commitment for all of us, and I'm so happy everybody could have been here with us here at the finals. You know, everybody that was stuck through this entire thing. Thank you for being here this entire time. I appreciate it all. That was a great game, and I cannot wait for the next invitational. So, oh, anything else, Oliver? Wrapping it up.
Like we've kind of talked about, this really is kind of the ultimate event for everything that we do at our Discord, right? Where this is really an event that's here to celebrate the community. We're here just grinding away at the day to make sure that we can celebrate the players who have been showing up to our events and really, really performing well. Again, this is a celebration of our community. We love everyone in our Discord, everyone who comes to our events, everyone who contributes in the Discord chats themselves. we have a fantastic community. I'm a relatively young buck within our community, still only like 6 months old, but finding our community was one of the best things that ever happened in terms of my Magic playing and in terms of me meeting so many fantastic people, whether it's Tensai in Dubai, Cathor, one of our previous streamers from Germany, and just people all around the world, right? Where if you have not come to check out our Discord, I highly, highly recommend it. Again, as Cathor was really talking about earlier in the stream, there is still 2 days to sign up for the May League. If you want to jump in, exclamation point Discord, jump into our league event, sign up. It is a fantastic time and a great way to get introduced to the Discord. Um, I think what we are going to do, because we have such a fantastic group of people with us, we are going to go ahead and raid the Legacy Pit. If y'all want to stay with us, let them know exactly where you came from. Let them know what a great event that we put on today as well, and all the fantastic plays that we saw. Side note, this sequencing that we saw from some of our players today was so amazing. Even just
Yeah,
looking back at the first round, seeing Burn versus Ninjas and seeing the way that they kind of sequenced around things to just eke out the margins, to to our losers bracket finals, just the nutty grind that happened to get to that Field of the Dead. And then even there, seeing Tensai go Rube Goldberg machine to get there in the very end, in the beginning of this last match. But it has been a fantastic day for Legacy. It has been a fantastic day for our community. And I'm so happy to be here with all of y'all. Doc, as always, you did fantastic today. Thanks to you
it
as
was
well
great.
and all the other streamers. But before we go, I guess you got any last thing to say?
No, thank you all for being here, and thank you for letting us be in your local meta. Have a good
Take
one,
care, y'all.
everybody. Heading out to the Legacy Pit.